tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers. I'm your host, Khalil Boo Boo, and this is AfterBuzz TV Satisfaction. I'm here with my co-host, Lauren Salon. Lauren, say hi to the people.
Oh, hello, everybody. I love this sexy
How are you
music.
doing this evening, Lauren?
Feeling so good. So
Very
good.
excited to be here with you on the late night hour. Hashtag, are you satisfied? Lauren?
You know, I will say that tonight's episode gave me a lot.
Of satisfaction.
A lot of satisfaction.
Well, there you go. Thank you and good night. No, I'm just playing. Okay, we've got a lot to talk about.
We do.
We've got some stuff.
So much is happening.
Stuff.
So much is happening.
All right.
Tonight's episode, or this week's episode, was intense.
Yes.
Oh.
Satisfaction just all over the place.
Yeah. Satisfaction all over the place.
Let's start with let's start with Grace and Neal.
Okay.
Now, are they broken up? What are your thoughts?
You know, I was feeling a little confused while watching it. I felt like I missed something. You know, we're watching together and I'm like, did I miss some big breakup or divorce talk? Obviously, I get that Grace and Neal are going through some major drama right now. A lot has hit the fan recently. They're learning a whole lot more about each other than they ever thought was
And
really going on.
themselves.
And themselves. Which we saw some of that learning about yourself in this episode.
Which
even.
we will get to.
But you know, with Adriana and Grace when she was talking with Grace, she's like, oh, well, you lost a partner too. And like all this really dramatic language about their relationship that I'm like, they aren't done yet. What are you talking about? They're just having some very much needed space.
And they didn't even have the conversation that says, oh, we're separated or we just need time for each other. It's just, we were mad and we parted ways for a bit just to, in my mind, to cool off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, finding out that your husband knows that you were cheating on him with an escort and then became an escort himself and then nearly getting murdered at your own house. I mean, that's like a lot to deal with.
You know,
so they need a kind of like a
he
phone
should
space.
spin it. I mean, like, well, you cheated on me with an escort, so I figured if you were happy with an escort, then I should become an escort. So that way we can solve the relationship. Look.
Well, I think they both obviously have made,
Yes.
they both have made mistakes. But something that I love about this show, and obviously this is my first week on the panel. I know we just got started, so I'm coming in a few episods late. I know I'm
very happy to have you here, though.
I am
the gang's back together, guys.
I am so happy to be here. I'm loving this show. And one of the things I really love about it is that I like all the characters that we've got. There's pretty much nobody that I can think of that I don't like on the show. So they do such a good job of creating these characters that you appreciate and can even resonate with on some level. And yet they're doing pretty messed up stuff too, you know, that you should hate them for, but I don't.
I didn't like Simon at first, but now he was my character that you love to hate, so to speak.
Yes.
Not from a writing standpoint, just as a character you like to hate.
Right.
But now he's moving into my
we're seeing a fuller
not so bad, Simon.
picture of him with his family drama and all that.
Speaking of Simon, let's move on to Simon and Neal.
Oh, yes.
So Simon and Neal decide to partner up and start their own escort business. I mean, who needs Adriana? We're the cash cows over here.
I know. I feel like they're going to get in over their heads a little bit.
I think so as well. I don't see it going too far because we did the app the Are You Happy app. And that didn't really, did that go anywhere?
I don't think it really did. I mean, they're kind of, it was more, that was, I think, one of the pieces in Neal's path to self-discovery and learning what makes him happy. And you can't just like figure out and program an app to tell you what you need.
That would be great.
Life, you know?
I could use one of those.
Right? It's a little more complicated than that when you're dealing with it. And I think that's what he's realizing and kind of discovering about himself.
And so they partner up, and Simon misses all his meetings because he's young and immature, or because he has family issues and he's trying to straighten it out. Whatever, however you want to spin it. And then
I thought just in general them deciding to team up was very curious.
Yeah.
But I like it at the same time. I really like it because they're both kind of in weird situations, very different places in their lives, but can relate to one another at the same time.
Right.
And I think also learn from each other in different ways. And so I like them like buddying up in a way.
I thought that they would do it earlier, because I thought it was going to happen in the first season when he first did the whole, I know things about your wife that you don't know. And I know you don't make her happy. She's just used to you. And so I thought he was going to be like, all right, well, school me. What's up? I need to...
Well, because we saw him asking some questions too. You know, so what does Grace talk to you about? Like, what, tell me. And But then that also gets like super weird.
Right.
A little awkward.
You're sleeping with my wife. I'm not happy about that. So I saw them partnering it up, but I didn't see it going this way. And so they end up with some clients, and as male escorts do, they take them back to the room and bang bros. Oh, gosh. Anybody who gets that reference.
We went there. Unfortunately, I get that reference. But yeah, so they end up having a little, I don't think, well, we don't see the whole picture. So who knows if it was like the girls picked which guy they wanted and that was what happened and they had separate beds and went for it. I doubt that's all that happened. I think there was a lot of swapping, some like, ball grabbing here and there. I don't know. So very interesting. I thought it was pretty cheesy when the girls like held hands across the bed. That was kind of stupid. No. But because who does that when you're like having an orgy? I don't think you do that, right?
Is that technically an orgy? I just feel like that's a group.
I don't know.
Well, orgy is a group sex.
Things. Yeah.
So
when it's past a three-way, does that equal
orgy?
I
guess it's an orgy. Yeah.
I don't know, guys out there listening in.
Tweet us.
When it goes past a three-way, is that
technically
an orgy, or do you just call it a four-way? Because you don't say five-way.
Does four-way mean you have to sleep with every party involved in the... Okay, we're digging in. We're digging a little too deep. Okay.
Moving on.
So I thought that there was like some real symbolic message behind Simon and Neal having... That was going to come out wrong. Simon and Neal doing what they were doing, and Grace and Adriana reading a book.
Right. So those scenes were very paralleled, cutting back and forth between Grace and Adriana at Grace and Neal's house, and then Simon and Neal at the hotel with the girls. So it's very much like, the girls are bonding, the guys are bonding, like all this stuff. And I don't know necessarily what that's aside from being like very romantic, what that passage was from Jane Eyre, I believe. I don't know what the bigger meaning necessarily is behind it for that specific scene. But yeah, they were definitely painting that parallel.
That it was, I don't know, symbolic. I don't know if I missed something, please tweet it at me or whatever. Leave it in the comments. Whatever. Okay, so moving on from Simon, since we're still on Simon, let's go to Emma and his dad with stage 4 cancer.
Oh yeah. So that whole situation, that one is kind of feels weird to me.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, his stepmom is like his age, okay? Right. Maybe a few years older than him. So in the real world, like when she's not married to his dad, it's not that big of a deal. Right. But when she's married to his dad. That's super
you guys are
creepy.
making out in the locker room.
That was like kind of hot. I'll be perfectly honest. Like just going in there and being like,
She's like,
sorry,
I don't care
dudes,
who's
cover
watching.
it up. Yeah, that sort of thing. But it's just a little.
Do you feel they may have had something prior to her and his dad hooking
That's what
up?
I'm wondering. I don't think so, because
I don't
even
think they
at
went into that.
even when Simon and his dad met up, he's like, oh, you know, that thing with Emma, like, don't worry about it, sort of thing. So I think he knows that they hooked up and had a fling while she was with him, which he's like totally okay with. Which is so weird. But so I think Dad knows about that, but I don't know if there was something before Dad got
So
with
now,
her.
now that you said that, it might have only been
I think
something
it's only
wild.
something that happened while they were
Weird.
together, which is super weird.
It's kind of a little gross.
I mean,
Just a little bit.
like, his dad's an attractive older man, so it's not about that, but
Yeah.
it's just like when it's like the family just going between them.
Keep it in the
I'm gonna run down the hall
family,
now. I'm gonna run back down there. Like, come on, girl.
I don't want to sleep in your bed tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go down the hall.
But I do like, I already said this a little bit earlier, I really like that we're seeing more about Simon and his past and his story, because he has kind of been that more antagonist character, the guy that we're okay not liking very much, because he's like, you know, we're like, you're the home wrecker, even though, you know, it takes two, a lot to tango.
Sometimes four.
Sometimes four. But, you know, he's been that one that we're like, oh, he's being such a punk, you know, all that stuff. But I like that we get to see some of that, you know, his background. He's had a tough time with his family, kind of been, you know, estranged from his family, if you will, and his mom died, and then the new wife came into the picture, and so he hasn't really had much contact with his dad in a long time, and we learned that he's comes from a lot of money too, so that's another thing that's interesting, that he decided to just like peace out and do his own thing and pursue his very successful career in male escorting.
I'm wondering if Emma, I was gonna say the girl, if Emma is waiting for her husband to just pass out, and so she can run away with the money and Simon together.
Oh, for sure. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, gosh, this girl like worked this system real well, because she's married to Daddy, who when he dies, she gets all his money, however that prenup is worked out, you know. But then if she just decides to then be with Simon, she's got that money too, because, you know, in that will, it's not all going to the wife. Like, it's going to go to Simon too, I'm sure. But yeah, I was like, dang, this girl like set it up to be making
you go, diggers.
bank with with this
Take tips.
situation.
Just saying.
Seriously,
If you see a pro, let her know.
Seriously. But I do like that she was very concerned about, like, I don't know how I feel about her character.
Yeah,
yet. I don't love her.
I don't
really
think we have enough.
Yeah, right now I'm like, meh, I don't really like you, but we'll see, sort of thing. But I do like that she convinced Simon to go, like, do the right thing and kind of make amends with his dad. You know, and she's like, it's because I love you so much. I want you to do the right thing and like end on good terms with your dad because he's dying, sort of thing. But so I like that a lot, that they did that, because it does make me like her.
The one thing that threw me a little bit is when he was like, I'm still in love with you. I'm like,
I
you
know.
just told Grace the same thing
Yes,
3 episodes ago.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, her too? This guy, come on. You know, like separation of business and pleasure, I guess.
And now you're supposed to be a professional, sir.
Yeah,
Separate.
don't fall for your clients.
Come on,
buddy.
Well, I guess Emma's not technically
Emma's not a client, but Grace, you know, he's like, it's different with you. I'm like, okay, how many girls is he telling that to, so that they will then want to see him more, because they're like, oh, it's different between us, so I should be seeing him and scheduling more dates and paying him for more dates, because it's different. We have a really important bond. It's special. He even told me.
Special.
Like, is he telling that to many women? Is that like part of his shtick?
I don't know. He seems like, you know, the guy who wants to be loved.
He does. Yeah,
So.
he's like a little puppy that's really good in bed.
According to the show.
Yeah.
According to the show, we wouldn't know.
We wouldn't
for
know from
ourselves.
personal experience.
Just putting that disclaimer out there. Speaking of Grace, let's move on to Grace and the master planner, Adriana.
I know. My goodness. Oh, careful.
mic fell.
Careful over there. We're getting really, really carried away. Yeah. So, I mean, Adriana's been scheming since like day one. That's like, she's a master schemer with everything, which I love.
I need her to plan my life.
I love her character. I think she's awesome. I'm so excited that she's going to be a guest on our show in a few weeks. So,
and it just seems like everything she does is sexy.
Oh my goodness, I know. Every scene she's in, even when she's like crying,
I know, even when she's
stuff,
crying
like,
and
she
smoking.
is so glamorous and sexy.
Good morning, love.
I know, she's just
She wants
amazing.
some coffee,
I love it.
some breakfast.
I love it. So yeah, they, there has definitely been some chemistry and stuff going on between them. And I already said a little bit earlier how she's like making all these comments about like, he was your husband. And, oh, I've lost a partner too. Like, we both know that. I'm like, girl, okay, now you're trying to push that wedge in a little too forcefully.
She definitely was.
Ease up.
That was step one in her master plan.
Step one in the master plan.
Separate Grace and Neal.
Step one was like, let me hire you to decorate my house.
Oh, yeah.
That was real sneaky. Real sneaky. But yeah, they talk about Neal's business. And Grace is pretty pissed about that. Because she blames Adriana for it, it's all just such a mess.
It is. And so she cooperates this meetup and have them both come to dinner. And at the dinner, separation papers.
Yeah. Yep.
Just digging that wedge
I know,
in
digging
there.
that wedge in there, which I think that Grace and Neal are gonna figure it out. It's gonna take some time. There's gonna be drama. There's gonna be other people involved.
Definitely.
But they're gonna be fine ultimately. So yeah, we get a lot of Grace and Adriana time in this episode. They, have some wine by the pool and talk about kids. And in that scene, I like that we got to see, which I'm gonna say before I say that, like, we don't. I trust Adriana, but I don't think we should.
I don't know. Definitely not.
Is the thing.
No.
Because even Neal points it out to Grace later. He's like, she's not your friend, sort of thing. And yeah, so they're talking about kids by the pool, all that stuff, like having their wine at night. And Adriana says that she really wanted kids with her first husband, who died. And like, she gets a little emotional about that, which was interesting to see. To see that. I wonder if like that was kind of the catalyst, that relationship or that husband dying for her going into the
pimping.
Yeah.
Pimping ain't easy.
We don't use that word.
Oh, sorry.
Remember?
Sorry. And so from that, then they go into the pool. And like, it's just us girls.
Yeah, I know. She's like, oh, let me get my suit. I'm like, Grace, you're not going in there with a suit on, please.
Not in this pool.
Yeah. And Adriana banging body also.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get in the pool and you just know, like, we're sitting there waiting, like, oh gosh, when is it going to happen?
2.
They're naked in water, touching.
And she makes the move and she runs.
Yeah. They touch, lips touch. It gets real close. Grace runs out of there. But
I feel like it was all premeditated. Like, she knew, like, I'm going to make a move. She's going to run away. And then I'm just going to come back with a different emotion in my step 3.
Well, and if you think about it, though, she has built a very successful business on knowing
what she's doing.
To
manipulate, entice,
land a client,
seduce.
if you will. Yeah, knowing how to seduce people and knowing how to read people and, play into what people want and their fantasies and desires and all that stuff. So even if, like, there's some real emotion behind it on her end, or even if it's not a client, like, she knows how to play this game.
Yeah.
She knows what she is doing.
This is chess, not checkers.
Yeah. And so can we talk about the masturbation bar they go to?
Okay, yes, please. Let's do that.
I didn't know. Like, that's the first time I've heard of it. I'm sure that sort of thing
It's like I
actually
want to go.
exists. Yeah.
Even though I don't necessarily need the devices, I'm pretty sure the clientele is fun. Just assuming.
Yeah, but it's so interesting. They go to this like swanky bar that has like happy hour and then an assortment of vibrators and other sorts of sex toys that you can peruse and even try out. And she's like, "Oh, don't touch that one. It's gold plated and very expensive." I'm like, expensive. Oh my gosh, gold plated.
You need something like this.
Yeah. So Grace takes one, and we see her use it later at home, and this is like the first time she's ever used a vibrator.
Yes.
And she's like a 40-something-year-old woman. Which
40? I wouldn't. Maybe, yeah.
She has like a 16-year-old daughter. If they got married when they were 20.
That makes sense.
And Annika's like going and starting thinking about college.
She's already
17.
left, so she's got to be like 17, 18.
She's like 17,
so
18.
They've got to
Grace
be married
probably,
for about 20 years at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, makes sense. Okay.
She's probably 40.
Okay.
40.
Good looking 40.
Oh yeah, she is super foxy. But yeah, I that kind of blew my mind that this was like a first for her.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was a late bloomer, but she's like
real late bloomer. Like, yeah,
I don't feel like that qualifies.
20 is early to get married, and she's like, "Oh, I've always just liked the real thing more." But I don't know. That was surprising to me.
And she said it with such like,
yeah, like I'm better than that. Yeah, and then she like goes home. She was like, "Oh dear, what have I done with my life up until this point?" Thank you.
I could have bought this at the store.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that was interesting to see that.
So, ladies, if you're 20 and over and have never owned a vibrator, please visit your local Zoomies.
After Dark on AfterBuzz TV.
After Dark on AfterBuzz TV. Zoomies. We're plugging these stores. We don't even like
get. Okay.
What's the other one? Adam and Eve.
Spencer's.
Spencer's.
You can buy vibrators at Spencer's. I
know.
don't think so.
I have never seen it. No, that's what I meant. Spencer, it's not Zoomies. Zoomies is the skateboard one.
Yeah.
Spencer's is what I meant to say.
You can do that at Spencer's?
Okay, so, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a pro tip right here. If you're in Spencer's, you go in the back, like behind the Pokemon hats and the Mario Brothers t-shirts, and you'll see like stripper poles and cotton candy bikinis and stuff. Not cotton candy, but it's like candy.
Oh, edible lingerie.
Edible lingerie. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word.
Lingerie.
Edible lingerie, and it'll be like a bunch of different sex toys back there for men and women. You know, whatever tickles your fancy. Yeah. So next time you're in a Spencer's, go in the back.
Oh my gosh.
They have posters. They have books. Whatever you need.
Look at that. Anyhow.
Are you 20 plus that haven't been satisfied?
Yeah. Adults only for this sort of thing. Anyhow. Yeah, so Grace and Adriana, we get the big kiss.
Yes.
Yeah, so Grace brings Adriana back to her house and is like, "Oh, these are all my books. I've read all of them." You know, like doing her own approach. Mm-hmm. And Grace really like takes control of the situation.
That was the power shift. We got to see a power shift at the end. Yeah,
and I liked it because I think we've seen, even in season 1 and so far in this season, Grace has, you know, she gave up on pursuing her dreams when she was younger because she got married and had a family and stuff. You know, life happened. And so she didn't really get to live out her dreams of being a designer and doing all that stuff. And so we've seen her kind of struggle with that and with building her own career and wanting to do this fellowship and all this stuff. And she is a very strong, fiery woman, but it's fun to now see her like starting to kind of be more assertive in situations. So I liked seeing that. Yeah. Too. And also because you knew it was like gonna get real, like saucy.
And this might be moving into a prediction, but it's probably as a piece because, as we know, she's gonna move into the whole dominatrix thing. She's going to start doing the escort. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a different term for her or whatever, but so now that she's taking this is then, which is she's also probably part of Adriana's master plan.
Yeah, she's like, exactly. You've fallen right into place, Grace.
That's any master planner will make you do something and make you think it was your idea.
She's like, all according to my plan. You read me from that exact page that I was wanting to hear. No, like, I don't even know.
I knew you had this book.
But yeah, like Adriana's being all vulnerable and all this stuff, and like, so Grace like steps in and is, you know, nurturing her and comforting her and like being like controlling, and she's like, sit down, you know, like stay here, and she's like reads her this really like romantic classic literature, and then they make out just like that. Great. I'm so glad we've got these sound effects and motions going on. So yeah, I feel like there are so many options for, I mean, we already saw Simon and Neal have a little fun together, but separately.
Best friends forever.
Separately, but also together. And now we've got, obviously, Adriana and Neal have had a thing. Simon and Grace have had a thing. Obviously, Grace and Neal are married. So, like, everyone can hook up with each other now. Yeah. They've basically all already hooked up with each other vis-a-vis body parts.
That's when Adriana said, "We're all friends here," and I was like, "And lovers."
I know. He did. He really did say that while we were watching it. But it's true.
It's true.
Like, what? Why the heck not? They're just all swingers. Swinging
every kind of way the wind blows.
But I mean, I like it just because it adds more drama and like sexiness, and we'll see how that goes. And like, dude, Neal's gonna be like so pissed about that. I think
definitely. Well, we did see a little clip of him daydreaming of him and Grace being swingers. So So maybe he's open to it. Maybe he'll be like,
oh gosh, I hope they never have a sex scene with Grace, Adriana, Simon, and Neal. That will just be way too much weird.
I think that moves us into predictions.
Yeah, does it?
Yeah.
Does it?
It does.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
So.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily have any aside. I mean, going off of what we saw in the teaser, we see Grace and Adriana, I believe, going to some like, you know, sexy club situation thing. And then we see Neal being dominatrixed by Grace. So what does that tell me? I think we're going to continue exploring the connection between Adriana and Grace. And they're going to have I think Grace is going to ask Adriana to help her explore this new side of her. I think Adriana planted the seed and kind of got that ball rolling, and I think Grace now is gonna step up and be like, I want more, like it's my turn to be like, you know, adventurous here. And so that's what I think is gonna happen. I wonder if do we really think the dominatrix thing is real or like a vision? Because they trick us sometimes.
That's a good point. Yeah, because
I could see it being real in the sense that like they're kind of pissed at each other, Neal and Grace. Well, Grace, I think more at Neal. Neal's like ready to like make amends and take her back and have her take him back, all that.
Typical.
I think that it could be a great opportunity for Grace to take out some of her frustrations on him in that sense.
Especially with her exploring, I feel like she's gonna like go all the way. Like Neal kind of went like what I feel like is kind of a typical guy stuff. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to sleep with a bunch of other women. Yeah, this is so great. And then so like I see her, well, like, okay, well, no, let's put some thought into this. Let's put some straps on you. And we'll blindfold
go
you.
Big.
And, exactly.
She's not messing around.
Exactly.
With her extracurriculars.
Okay, so as far as my prediction, I see the this this Neal and Simon business venture not really going far. Like I see it hitting the ground before it takes a step, if that makes sense.
We did see Neal go to a meeting at, I forget her name, but Adriana's contact, who has like the modeling agency or whatever it is. And Adriana shows up. She's like, "Oh, don't you know? Like, if anyone's starting a new escort business, like, I'm gonna be one of the first to be notified."
She's gonna nip that in the bud. Quick.
But I wonder if, because I thought she was gonna blow up when she found that, like, be pissed. Though she usually keeps her cool, even when she does like fire people or get upset. She keeps that poker face all the time.
Yeah.
But. So I wonder, like, if she's gonna want to like help them out in some way or get in on the business with them.
That's what I was thinking. If anything, she might take over.
Yeah,
either tank it or take over, and like, oh well, everything you were doing, I'm in control of it now, and I'll let you, get the crumbs.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how that goes because I like it. I don't want to see them competing against you, Adriana and Neal and Simon competing against one another. Because I kind of like the tension that they've got while also still being friends and like on okay terms. So
and also I'm not sure how much Neal is committed to this because to me he kind of seems like just a dog that's like happy with any new toy that he gets. So like first it was the app and then like I'm just doing things that make me happy.
Right. And we saw right in the beginning, when that couple comes into his office of all places because they tracked down the reporter who wrote that blog post and begged her to give them his contact information, which is like such a no-no of that damn reporter. I was like, oh, that girl is awful. But he's like, I don't have a escort business, this is just something I do in my free time, which I don't have very much of. So I don't know if there's going to really be a shift because when he's talking to Simon, I think there is for story purposes, but when he's talking to Simon, Simon's like, what are you doing? Like blah, 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 all this stuff. And he's like, this makes me feel alive and I want to do anything that like makes me feel alive. So let's do it. So he is kind of chasing
just anything.
The adrenaline and the adventure and the drama of it.
So as soon as this dries out, it's going to be like, what's the next thing?
Yeah, I wonder if he's just like, having a midlife crisis and like doing stuff, hopping from the next thing to the next thing.
Just a tad.
So
we shall find out next week. That wraps us up. Thank you, AfterBuzzers, for joining us. This is AfterBuzz TV Satisfaction After Show. I'm your host, Khalil Wabubu, on Twitter and Instagram at Khalil Wabubu.
Oh, and I'm Lauren Salam. You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube at Lauren Salam. That's LaurenSalaun.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Let's get even more satisfied.
# are you satisfied?
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.